As members of the audience, we usually have little to no idea of what's happening behind the scenes of all movies, but that's where rumors step in. Secret sources will reveal details of what happened, and that's just how we learned about Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy's feud during the filming of Mad Max Fury Road. But now it looks like we finally have more than just gossip. Let's find out what we've learned about the stars' feud. First up, Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron's Fury Road feud. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron's alleged feud on the set of the blockbuster sequel Mad Max Fury Road has been the subject of rumors for years, and finally we have some clarity on the matter. The new book sheds light on what exactly went wrong with the actors' relationship, how serious their problems were, and how they overcame them. There have been reports that the stars of Mad Max Fury Road didn't get along ever since the movie's filming began. Although both Charlize's Furiosa and Tom Hardy's Mad Max saw the actors get praise for their leading roles, their on-set conflict was so strong that it made headlines before the film shooting was through. But what made the feud even more intriguing was that neither actor would talk about the quarrel. In interviews, Hardy and Theron have made occasional passing remarks about their struggles over the past 7 years, but neither actor has ever gone into detail about their widely reported conflict. Now, the story is finally clarified in a 2022 book on the drawn-out making of Mad Max Fury Road. Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road by Kyle Buchanan is the book that finally sheds some light on the star's issues. But it does more than that. The pages discuss the origin of the conflict as well as the production issues that contributed to the harsh working climate. The book addresses a wide spectrum of participants, including George Miller, who created Mad Max, cameraman, casting directors, the actors' co-stars, and even Theron and Hardy themselves. While the conflict between Theron and Hardy sounded intense, according to the performers and their colleagues, it was resolved before the movie's filming even wrapped up. Coming up, Tom Hardy's method approach to Max troubled filmmakers. You can always expect method actors to have caused some kind of problem for the cast and crew. And now, it turns out that Tom Hardy has been added to the growing list of actors who have opted for the rigorous routine. The actor provided a version of the anti-hero who veered entirely from Mel Gibson's original Mad Max and effectively rebuilt the sci-fi cinema icon, so the producers ultimately agreed that Hardy's efforts were worthwhile. But both the performer and his team members paid a price for this outstanding performance. In fact, Hardy's in-character antics, such as donning an earpiece to simulate Max's past as a police officer, infuriated the film's producers. The actor's technique was tricky, to say the least, according to both cameraman Jason Boland and cinematographer Mark Golnicht, while casting director Laura Kennedy claimed the actor was misunderstood because he took things so seriously. Things went so far that some crew members, like screenwriter Kelly Marcel, actually warned him that he didn't want to see the headline, "You've killed George Miller," in his future. This sole incident should serve as an example of how controversial many members of the production team found Hardy's method of acting during filming. Up next, struggles with the shooting from the beginning. According to all accounts, including her own, Theron had issues with Fury Road before she spat with Hardy. Apart from her less embodied acting style clashing with Hardy's method in part, external circumstances also played a role. For one, the actor had this aversion to dust, according to Miller, which was regularly made worse by the fact that the film was shot in the Namibian desert where sandstorms were common. Since Theron had never worked on a movie like Miller's Mad Max sequel, she acknowledged that she was incredibly scared while filming and said that she also had trouble understanding the narrative that the movie was meant to portray. The sequel story proved difficult for Theron to grasp, even though she insisted she always understood Furiosa's motivations. This, combined with the demanding physical requirements of the role, left Theron psychologically exhausted, making it near impossible for her to argue with the methodical, volatile Hardy. Following up, what went down between Hardy and Theron? Well, putting the intense method actor with the already struggling Theron proved to be one of the worst things for the stars, and the rest of the co-stars like Nicholas Hoult felt like children trapped in the back seats of a car, with the two clashing parents riding up front. There was no escape from it. In short, it was their different styles of acting that was the major reason for their conflicts. If you listen to what the co-workers have to say, Hardy would be described as muscular and all over the place, while Theron would be described as consistent, cerebral, and not all over the place. The one thing in common between them was that they both had trouble adapting to Miller's directing style, but that was where their similarities ended. To tackle Miller's ambiguity, Hardy decided to relentlessly question the filmmaker. And you guessed right, Theron simply wanted to be done with the scene and move on to the next one. So when Hardy pushed for more details, demanded more time for each scene, and asked for more character insight, Theron moved into survival mode. The result was a high-pressure setting that, according to producer PJ Voten, made the tension very obvious. The seasoned producer noted that even during the early stages of the movie's pre-production, the atmosphere felt as though it would implode. Moving on, how did Hardy and Theron get through their feud? Theron and Hardy's relationship on set allegedly hit a low point when the South African actress was left waiting for her co-star for 3 hours one morning. The actor showed up for an 8 o'clock call time after 11, which caused Theron to become enraged and cursed the man for his lack of professionalism. But by the time production production of Mad Max Fury Road came to an end, the two were on more cordial terms, though the peace was hard fought for. In response to the incident, Theron requested a female producer be sent to the set because she felt uneasy among men. Hardy has disputed this accusation to this day and stated that he doesn't believe a really serious actor like Theron would ever be intimidated by me. Coming up, at what point did Hardy and Theron's feud end? The process of filming the sequence in which Furiosa, Max, the Vuvolini, and Immortan Joe's wives leave the former Green Place brought about a significant change in the actors' relationship. After filming that moment, according to the cameraman, Hardy clearly warmed up to Theron, and the problems that had dogged the Mad Max movie's protracted development faded back into the background as the performers ultimately developed a mutual respect for one another. In recent interviews, Theron has admitted that the work environment for the film should have been more productive, and Miller says he wishes he had done more to assure the comforts of his actors rather than more to protect the integrity of his artistic vision. While it may be too late for the director to regret his priorities, Hardy's and Theron's conflict from Mad Max Fury Road appears to have been largely forgotten, even though it might be some time before we see them together on screen again. Moving on, Furiosa Prequel could revisit Mad Max's oldest story. At least one theme appears repeatedly in the Mad Max films, and the prequel Furiosa is expected to do the same. Since the first Mad Max film, a low-budget revenge thriller released in 1979, the series has seen significant changes. The first Mad Max was a grim, desolate, and unexpectedly realistic thriller, whereas the succeeding installments were far more cartoonish, action-oriented, and fantastical. But despite their tonal and artistic variances, each Mad Max film returns to a new interpretation of the same recurrent primary idea. The longest-lasting message in a franchise that has otherwise varied its style, tone, and genre throughout the years is that every Mad Max film demonstrates the axiom that hurt people. Now that Fury Road's anti-heroine, Anya Taylor-Joy, is playing a younger version of her in the Mad Max prequel Furiosa, we have yet another new perspective on this constantly timely concept. By combining aspects from Miller's original Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and The Road Warrior, Furiosa may show us this theme once again. Next up, Furiosa's end is set in stone. Even though Furiosa's brief synopsis doesn't tell us much about what to expect from the prequel, some aspects of the Mad Max spin-off are already fully established. Fury Road fans know that Furiosa ends up in a situation where trading slaves for a dictatorial ruler is the only way she can survive, and that's how she ends up working for the immoral warlord Immortan Joe. So no matter what happens, fans should know that Furiosa cannot have a happy ending, no matter what the prequel decides to show, because the prequel will have to explain how the seemingly decent Furiosa ended up working for Immortan Joe. Finally, how does Furiosa's plot mirror that of the original Mad Max? Furiosa's timeline setting is yet unknown, although the prequel story should take place close to when the first Mad Max was released. Mad Max first starred Mel Gibson, who was 22 at the time of production, while Taylor-Joy is 26. Given that Tom Hardy's Mad Max in Fury Road was only 2 years older than Charlize Theron's Furiosa, it is reasonable to assume that Furiosa will be in her early 20s in the prequel. After his wife and child are killed by a biker gang, the titular anti-hero of the first Mad Max begins to lose his morals and his sense of reason. Max adopts the gang's bloodlust and begins torturing and killing each member one by one. On the other hand, young Furiosa is taken from the Green Place of many mothers and ends up in the hands of a large biker horde led by the warlord Dementus, according to the plot summary for Furiosa's prequel spin-off. As she puts together the tools to get home, Furiosa must endure numerous hardships. Presumably, Furiosa will probably see its heroine lose her innocence as she tries to survive in the harsh wasteland and become as cruel as her attackers before the end of the story, kind of like Max did in his first appearance. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think the media made a bigger deal of the Hardy-Theron feud than it really was? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.